Hey there, and welcome to the Digital Nomad Family Podcast. This is the place where families who have or want to have a nomadic lifestyle come together to talk about the highs and lows that this life brings. We celebrate the joys and support each other in the hard. So, if you are a digital nomad family or will be in the future, this is the place for you. We're glad you're here. Hey guys, welcome back to the Digital Nomad Family Podcast. It has been a minute. So if you don't remember who I am Marissa, and I am the host of the Digital Nomad Family Podcast. And I have to say, I have missed this. It has been an adventure. We have been in Costa Rica since August. And I know in podcast world, when you're listening to it, that doesn't mean much, but that means we've been in the same house now, guys, for 7 months. And we're going to stay here. I plan to do an episode kind of like, hey, what happened type thing. But this is not that episode. So this one and the next one are all going to be about what the title of this episode says, and that's the Amazon rainforest in Peru, and I promise you we are going to have some fun talking about that. But I just wanted to let you know I've missed you guys. I will fill you in on what's been going on in our lives. It's been good stuff. I think everyone knows that feeling of when you're going through a very busy season and it's all good, but it's just busy. And that's what Costa Rica has been for us. So we've had a fantastic time here. We're having a fantastic time here. Like I said, we're going to be here for several more months. And yeah, but I'll do like a whole episode. I think it's a good idea. But I just wanted to say hi. I've missed you guys. Thank you for your patience. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Again, over on Instagram, we've been silent just because of everything going on. We've just had no capacity to do anything. Also, I will say our lives here have been very, very much the same every single day, which doesn't put for good Instagram content, which is fine. It's just not something that I think to do because I've been doing the same thing every single day, which is going to language school. And so, yeah, it's just not been on my radar to do Instagram or anything like that. So, but I will do an episode and kind of give you a daily glimpse into our life here in Costa Rica, if you will. And please have grace with me in that because it will be kind of boring, but I'll do my best to make it fun and interesting and exciting. But this episode is all about the Amazon rainforest. And this has been a podcast I've been wanting to do for so long, since the beginnings of Digital Nomad Family Podcast, because this is an adventure that we did pretty early on. We did it in Peru, and it was fantastic, and I wanted to share it with you guys for so long. It's just one of those things that even though you're really excited to talk about it, you're like, oh man, am I ready to talk about it yet? I don't know. Maybe that's weird. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. It's okay if it is. It's who I am. But we spent from September 5th to September 13th, so about 9-ish days. I say 9-ish because we left the morning of the 13th. We left the lodge. So we spent 8 full days and a little bit at the lodge in the Amazon rainforest. And the name of this lodge is Ototongo Amazon River Lodge. Because of the fact that Ototongo is a kind of a tricky word to say, they just go by Amazon River Lodge. And I will have them linked in the show notes for you to check out. I cannot encourage people enough that if they want to experience the Amazon rainforest in a very pure fashion, this is who to go with. I was really excited for this adventure. And then when it happened, it met every single expectation. And there's not many things in our lives that do that. And this was one of them. So we were there for about 9 days. And the reason we went with this lodge is we knew that we wanted a smaller place. And this is what Amazon River Lodge is. It was very small, and we didn't want hundreds of people around. We didn't want a really modern feeling lodge. We wanted casual, because that's what the Dinglers are. We are casual, casual, casual. We wanted casual. We wanted real. We didn't want like crazy expensive. Now, this definitely was expensive. You don't have to be there for so long, so that would definitely cut down on the cost of it. But it was expensive because we were there for 9 days. But it was worth it. It was totally worth it. And I think before we get into some of the nitty gritties about this, and before I just gush all over Amazon River Lodge, I just want you guys to know, if you are concerned about doing an adventure like this with young kids, I get it. It can be very intimidating and scary. I get it. So if you have any questions about age appropriateness of the stuff that I'm talking about, please go over to Instagram. We're Family of Dashes. I have it linked in the show notes. And just shoot me a message and say, hey, I was listening to your podcast episode about the Amazon River Lodge. We have a child that's this age, and we're curious if it would be appropriate for them. And then we can have a more real conversation about it, because we all know this. Every single kid is different. And so for some 7-year-olds, this would have been fantastic. For other 7-year-olds, no way, Jose. And so it just really depends on the kid. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh man, I wonder if my little kid can handle this, just pop over to Instagram and send me a message. I'll be happy to talk about it. And that's for anything, guys. Any questions you have, I'm there. Just let me know. Not a big deal. Even though we haven't been posting, we're still there. So why did we go with Amazon River Lodge? Well, we actually heard about this place from a YouTube couple that we watched. Their names are Kara and Nate, and they went to this Amazon River Lodge. And as I was watching the videos, I was really impressed with the intimacy of it, meaning you could tell that it was a smaller place, and that's what we wanted. You could tell that they had really thought about their activities, and that's what we wanted. And just the more after I saw it on their YouTube video, I started investigating it for myself, and that's what I was finding. And we wanted to go somewhere like that, somewhere that if we're paying all this money, we wanted to craft it for us and for our interest, and we hit the nail on the head. And some of the amazing things about this is, one, you have your own guides for the entire time. And it doesn't matter how big your group is or how small your group is, you have your guide. And so we had 2 guides. Their names were Eddie, and Eddie spoke English. And then we had Segundo. Segundo did not speak English. Segundo was the kids would call him the machete man, the boat driver, the tree climber. Segundo was amazing. He lived in the local village. From the lodge, there's a local village, about a 20-minute walk, and you can walk in there. There's a little tienda. You can buy some, like a cold pop. You could buy some chips. You don't have to, but you can. It's just a fun little thing to do when you have maybe some downtime. And Segundo lived in that village with his parents and his wife and his kids. And this company does a really fantastic job of hiring locals from that village and from Iquitos, which is the town you have to go into if you want to go to Amazon River Lodge. And so it's also a smaller city, Iquitos is. And we really wanted a lodge that did a good job giving back to the community, because since we are a small business owner, we know how important that is. And we really wanted to find a lodge that was interested in helping the rainforest, in helping the people in the communities in the rainforest. And that's exactly what Amazon River Lodge is. And the guides were amazing. There would be times where Eric and I would be talking to Eddie, and maybe it would be the night before and we would say, hey, we know that this is on the agenda for tomorrow, but can we maybe swap it out or do this instead? The kids don't want to wake up super early to go fishing again, so can we do this? And it was no problem. We never got any pushback about changing the agenda. It was nothing. It was like, yeah, sure, that's totally fine. It was so wonderful because the last thing you want is to feel that pressure of, oh man, well, the kids are really tired, but we're supposed to wake up a little bit earlier tomorrow to go fishing. Well, let the kids sleep. It's okay. Go fishing another day. And you never felt that pressure from the guides of, well, we've already set the schedule. You need to stick to it. Nope. It was amazing. Every time we asked to change stuff up, there was no pushback. There was no anything. They just went with it. And they were very go with the flow like us. It was very planned. Don't get me wrong. There were plans. There were agendas. There were schedules, but it was also very much of, I know we're supposed to do this tomorrow, but can we maybe do this instead? And there was never any pushback on that. And I really appreciate that because as a mom of 4, you never know what the next day is going to look like. And so I need a little bit of that go with the flowness in my life. And this lodge gave it to us. The next thing I really like about this lodge, this is not unique to Amazon River Lodge, but it's all inclusive. So you have to pay to get to Iquitos, but then from there, they have you. So they'll meet you either at your hotel or if you have an Airbnb. We had an Airbnb and we just dropped a pin and sent it to our guide, and a bus came up and picked us up, drove us down to the docks. We got on a boat. The boat took us out. And from there, I mean, they had us the entire time. It was all the food was there, all the activities were there, everything. And like I said, there is a small village, about a 20-minute walk, and you can walk in there. That stuff isn't included, but the pops were, I think to get a pop was less than $1 a piece. So just have some soles, which is the Peruvian currency. Just have some soles with you so that you can maybe go up to the tienda if you want. You don't have to, though, especially if you're only there for a couple days. You probably might not find the time to walk to the village independently. Since we were there for 8 full days, we definitely had the time to just walk in there and walk around and get a pop or get a snack or whatever. And that was really fantastic. But it's just all included. If you want to do an activity, it's included. They have all the stuff. It's amazing. You just have to pack your bags and go. So that was really nice. And they were very well with communicating with us. I never felt lost. I never felt I never felt stressed of, oh my goodness, are they going to find us tomorrow? Nope. It was super easy. So we really liked that element of it of, hey, we're here at this hotel or we're here at this Airbnb, and they'll get you. The third thing we really liked about this lodge is it has various little houses. They're not houses, so we'll call them like mini lodges, if you will. So there's like the big lodge, and then there's the sleeping rooms of very loud motorcycles going by. We live on a decently busy road, and the windows are very, very thin. And so like there is no blocking anything, which is really fun at 3:30 in the morning when motorcycles go flying by the window. Scare me to death. One night, Eric and I both woke up. We were convinced that like a big truck was coming through our window. It was so loud. Anyways, so the sleeping areas, they have what they call like a family room. It's your own place, and it has 5 beds, like a queen size bed that Eric and I had, and then 4 smaller beds. So each kid had their own bed. It was perfect. Now, if your group is larger, you pay per person, not per like house. It's not like a hotel. It's not like, oh, we just want one room. You're paying per person. And so if your group is larger than 6, then you'll probably need to get 2 little sleeping areas. But that's fine. You can figure out how to divide them, and they'll work with you on that, and it's not a big deal. In the sleeping lodge, there's a bathroom with a toilet and a shower. There is no hot water. There's also no cold water. All the water is just room temperature because it's in tanks. but I promise you, you're not going to want a warm shower anyways. And I am the person who takes a shower so hot that my skin is melting off, right? Like that's the type of showers I take. But I promise you, it is so hot there that you are not going to want to take a warm shower. At first, you're going to turn the water on. And if you're like me, it's going to take you just like 2 minutes maybe to get used to it. But then you're just going to be standing under it, enjoying the coolness, because it is hot in the Amazon jungle. I don't know if you realize that, but it is hot. And so the sleeping arrangements and having our own bathroom was really, really nice. They cleaned it every single day. They would come in, make the beds. If we needed new towels, we would just ask for new towels. Super, super great. And they can do your laundry for you. We never asked them to do our laundry for us because it is an additional charge. But also I was like, well, we didn't take that much clothes either. But I was like, well, we're just going to do some sink laundry. Like I would just wash it in the shower with me or in the sink. And then we took a clothesline and we just found a place to hang up our clothesline. They didn't care about that at all. It was fine. And if it's in the sun, we have a lot of quick dry clothes. If you haven't heard about our clothes, I've talked about it so much in previous episodes. Just find like a top 5 clothing episode or something. And you'll hear like we have a lot of quick dry clothing, and in the direct sunlight in like 2 hours, stuff was dry. It was crazy. And so the sleeping situation was amazing. And then the last thing I want to just really make sure I emphasize is the fact that this lodge does a really fantastic job of employing locals. And if that's important to you, then I would definitely check out Amazon River Lodge, because to us that is important, and we loved getting to know the locals, and we had a lot of fun with that. And I'll tell you more about that here in a minute. And it was such a cool experience that it's one of those things we look back on and we just laugh and we smile. And just the other day, actually, we had some friends over here at our house, and we pulled up our Amazon photos on the television, and we're going through and we're talking about our time in the Amazon rainforest and at the lodge. And every time we think about it, we laugh and we just have so many good memories from it. So just to give you an idea of what every day kind of looked like, I'll go through a rough schedule. So you wake up and you have breakfast first thing. The breakfast is a little early. I think it was around 6, but you're probably going to be awake anyways, just because the sun is shining and there's lots of animals making noises all around you and it's warm. So you're probably going to be awake for a 6:15 breakfast anyways. And then after breakfast, we would go to our first activity, and this would vary. They have a whole list of activities that you can choose from, and I'll tell you some of our favorite activities here in a minute. This is just kind of the schedule. And so then you go to your first activity, and then you come back, and they give you a little bit of rest time before lunch, which is really nice, because if that first activity, because of the fact that they have that gap built in there, if your first activity goes really long, let's say you're having a really fantastic time doing whatever you're doing, you can push it a little bit. And you can be like, well, yeah, we're supposed to be back in 20 minutes, but let's keep doing this because the kids are having fun, we're all having fun, and it's not like lunch is going to be on the table anyway. So they do have a little bit of a buffer zone, which is really nice. Then you have your lunch, and then you have a rest time, which the rest time after lunch was amazing. It was needed because it's warm. And by warm, I mean hot, because it's hot. And so you don't want to be hiking through the jungle right now. You don't want to be out on a boat in direct sunlight. It's warm. And so this is when a lot of us would actually take a shower at this point. And since we only had one shower and 6 of us, we would divide our showers. And so some of us would take showers now, and some of us would take showers later. And so you would have a small rest after lunch. The kids really liked to play games. We took some card games with us, and the kids would sit in the dining hall, and we had a lot of fun playing games, some card games there. That was great. You could just walk around the property. We had a couple books with us that the kids could listen to. We also, at this point, just for us as a family, we took advantage of this, and every day we would journal something. And so I would give the kids a journal prompt, and we used this rest time as a, hey, let's just chill out for a minute so your body doesn't get overdone in this heat and you don't get totally exhausted. So it was almost like a forced rest for our kids. And they had a journal prompt, and that's what they would do during the after lunch rest. Then you would have your second activity, and it would be a number of things. And then you would come back before dinner. And depending on when you got back is how much time you had before dinner. This was a time a lot of us would, like the rest of us would take a shower. And so then you can get nice and refreshed for dinner. It's still hot at this point, but it'll cool you down. It's a nice thing. And at this point, the sun would be starting to go down. And so that was nice because now you know, okay, well, I'm going to get all cleaned off, and at least I'm probably going to sweat more, yes, but at least I won't be in that direct sunlight. So that's good. And then after that, we would have dinner. And then after dinner, we would have a night activity. And the night activities were wonderful, 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 wonderful. And I do think that this schedule can be adjusted a little bit, meaning let's say you're there, you're going to be there for a while like us. And you're like, hey, you know what? We don't want to do an activity this evening. There was one night where we didn't do an activity. After dinner, we called it a night, and we listened to some audiobooks, we read, we played some games, but we didn't have a planned activity. And because of the fact we were there for so long, I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. I really felt, and neither did the kids. We kind of just needed a night to just know, hey, we're just going to chill here, the six of us. But if you're only there for a few days, you can pack in 3 activities each day. The meals, since the meals are provided, you do have to be back at the place for that, unless you've talked to the kitchen. We called them the kitchen mamas because when Eric was a camp director, that's what we called them at camp as well. So in our lingo, just to say kitchen mamas is, and they were all women, so it worked out well. And they were all moms, again, from the local village. And so they would talk to the kitchen mamas about, hey, we're going to be gone for this lunch tomorrow, so we're going to take a packed lunch. But unless that has been predetermined, then you are going to want to be back for the meals. But other than that, it's very, very loose. And about some people have asked us, like, well, how many other people were there? Like, what were the meals like? And I do have a lot of pictures over on our Instagram. So if you want to go over and check out our Instagram and find our time in the Amazon, then I would encourage you to do that. You'll see lots of pictures there about it. But there really weren't many other people with us. We were the largest group that was there the whole time we were there. And we were also there the longest. And so I think we saw 3 or 4 groups come in and out because they would only be there for 2 days or 3 days. And so there were a couple moments. I think there was a couple dinners and a couple lunches where we were the only ones there. And like I said, we were there in September, which is the dry season for the Amazon River. And there's pros and cons to going in both the dry season and the wet season. We opted for dry season because it's better piranha fishing. And the kids really wanted to go piranha fishing. And also it just worked with our schedule the best. So it all worked out well, and I'm so glad it did. And so there's definitely some things that you can think about, that you can adjust to what you want to do. I would just definitely check out, here's another motorcycle. I don't know if you guys can hear them or not. They are loud. But yeah, just check out Amazon River Lodge's website, and they have a lot of their activities there. And it was really helpful for us to kind of know some of the stuff we wanted to do. So speaking of some of the stuff we wanted to do, I want to give you a quick rundown of some of our favorite things. And I won't spend too long on them because I know, you know me, I could just talk and talk and talk. But this is the stuff I really, really love, is just talking about what we did and how it went. And all of this went great. Okay. All of it was amazing. So I could have put everything we did on the list as good. But here's some of our favorites. We were able to swim in the Amazon River, which was really cool. And there were pink dolphins in the river with us. We can say that we swam near the pink dolphins, but we can't say we swam with them because they were just wild animals. And because of the fact we were there in the dry season, in the dry season, the river is smaller. And so it is easier for them to know like, oh, there's dolphins up here. And they kind of learn the dolphins' patterns. And so it is easier to see and swim near the pink dolphins in the dry season. And we actually swam in the Amazon River twice. And both times we saw many, many dolphins. We saw the little gray dolphins and we saw the big pink dolphins. And those pink dolphins, man, they are ugly, but so cute. Does that make sense? It's like that cute, ugly thing because they are just some weird looking creatures, but they're so cool. Their coloring, so fantastic. And we didn't get to touch the dolphins or anything because, again, they're just wild animals. We just happened to be there at the right time, at the right place, and it was really cool. Another thing we really loved was night hikes, and we liked these for different reasons. The kids grew so much from these night hikes, there we go, because they were so nervous at first. They were very scared that an animal was going to come get them, that we were going to get lost in the jungle, that something bad was going to happen, right? And the first night we went on a night hike, you're usually like always on the lodge's property. Occasionally you might have to walk like through someone, like if you're in the town, then you're not in the lodge's property. But when you're out and doing your excursions to find the animals and stuff, you're on the lodge's property. And so I don't want you to think that we weren't, like that we just went onto other people's property, but I want you to imagine like, there's a dining hall, there's the houses that people sleep in, and then there's some jungle around it, okay? Draw a very, go 20 feet into the forest, and that's what I'm talking about. That was our very first night hike. We just walked around the very rim of the like compound, if you will. It's not a compound, but like the lodges, I'm going to say property, but that's not what I mean, but go with me on this. Just that the very rim of the property is where we walked for our very first night hike. And then the following day, the kids saw where we walked and they were blown away. They were like, we thought we were miles in the jungle. We thought we were so lost. And it was so funny because as we're walking around that night and the kids are nervous, they're like, oh, is a snake going to come? Is a bad tarantula going to come? Like, is something going to come get us, right? Eric and I, we're like smiling at each other because we can see the lights of the staff house. And we're like, these kids think we are miles into the jungle and I could get us home. Like, that's how not far we are. This was night 1 and I could have got us back to our sleeping area. But it was so interesting. And then by the end of it, the kids were not feeling that way. They had so much more self-confidence in their ability to handle being in the jungle at night. They had more trust in Eric and I. They had more trust in the guide. It was really cool to watch just the relationships go. And we got to see some really cool things. We saw bird-eating tarantulas. We saw scorpions. We saw an electric eel, which is actually like an electric stonefish, we learned, but it looks like an eel, so we call them electric eels. And we saw some really, really cool things at the night hikes that we wouldn't have seen. And it also really pushed the kids out of their comfort zones. And I love doing that. If you've listened to anything, listen to the last episode about a nomad kid facing their fears. There is something about safely pushing your kids out of their comfort zone and being there to watch it happen that is one of my favorite things as a parent, because they then look at themselves differently. And I love that. Another thing we really loved was piranha fishing. And this was just a really cool experience. And then after we caught them, Segundo built a fire and he cooked them right there. And we had some plantains. And so we had piranha and plantains on the bank of the river. And it was such a cool experience. And we got really lucky with our piranha fishing because, again, we were there in the dry season. And what happens is the Amazon River gets smaller. And then all these little like puddles are left in the jungle. So as the water is receding, there are places where the water just gets caught and now you have it starts as maybe like a small lake, but then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And the piranha don't like to be in the big river. It's too strong for them. They can't find their way there. They don't like that big water. And so they stay in these smaller places. And so then as the water recedes, the piranha gets trapped there. So now we just have a fishing hole of just piranha fishing. And the guides know where these are. They talk to other people and they're like, hey, we know there's a lot of piranha down there. And we caught many piranha. The funny thing / bad, I don't know if it's bad or not, but another thing about it is as the piranha are stuck in this little pond, all they can really do is eat. And so they get bigger and bigger and bigger, which is really cool because piranha is actually a very beautiful fish. And the bigger it gets, the more beautiful it even looks, I think. And so they're getting bigger and bigger, but that means they're getting stronger. And we lost about 6 hooks to the piranha because you put beef on your hook and then you throw your line in and then you beat the water with your stick because that mimics a hurt like little bird or something like that, and that attracts the piranha. Well, then they come and they see the meat and they want the meat, but these piranha were getting so big that they were biting straight through the line. And so many times you'd pull you could tell you had a piranha, you'd go to pull it up really fast and the line would have been bitten through. And then we'd have to put more line on and another hook. It was a thing. And they said that's normal for that time of year because the piranha just get too big and the string's not strong enough to withstand their bite. So that's kind of cool, but kind of a downfall, I guess. But if you want to go piranha fishing, I would suggest going in the dry season than the wet season. It was so cool. The kids loved it. Ryan was on fire this day. He had caught more piranha that day than the lodge had seen one person catch in a very long time. So he was very excited to be setting a record. Another thing we did was we ate grubs. And we walked into the village and some person had a tree and we paid this man because you basically have to cut the tree down. And we cut the tree down, but we did pay the man for his tree. They grow these trees for these grubs because they're able to let the tree grow and then they cut it down. And then they get all these grubs out of it and they do send them into other places to sell the grubs. So the lodge is one place, though, that buys them. So we bought these grubs from this man and Martin and Ryan ate them like alive, not like alive, but raw, uncooked, whatever, right there. It was so crazy. And the rest of us, we waited until we got back to the lodge and they were cooked. And so now we can say that we ate some palm grubs. They were huge. They were so, so huge. You got to go check out the pictures on Instagram. Going into the local village, we love connecting with locals. And this was really cool. This is where our guide Segundo lived. And actually as we were walking through, we saw a church and we're a Christian family. And we said, hey, we're here for so long. What if on Sunday we come in here and we go to the local church? Yeah, it'll be in Spanish, but that's okay. At that point, we were trying to go to Spanish church more than we are now. And so we were totally fine with it. And so we told our guide, Eddie, we said, hey, can we not do an activity on Sunday morning and go in to the church in the village? And he said, yeah, that's fine. Well, then he started talking to Segundo, and it turns out Segundo was the pastor at this church, which made our day. And the boys, our boys, put him even higher up on a pedestal because they were like, oh my gosh, he's a machete man, he's a fisherman, he's a boat driver, he's a snake collector, and he's a pastor. This is so cool. They just thought he was the coolest person in the world. No one will ever beat coolness level of Segundo, I don't think. And so we were able to go in and we heard Segundo preach, which was really cool. And they asked us, they were like, will you please sing a song? And so if you know the song, Jesus Loves Me, we sang that song in English because we don't know it in Spanish. So that was really cool. Just being able to have that experience of going to Segundo's church. And then afterwards we went to his home. It was just so cool. It was real, and we love real. And then another thing we really loved was playing games in the dining hall. So like I said, we took some cards and we had so much fun. Almost every night we would just sit in the dining hall and they would have juice there and they would have some fruits or little snacks or something. And we would just sit there and have some snacks and play some games. And it was so wonderful. There is no Wi-Fi at the lodge, and so you are forced to disconnect. And that is so good for Eric and I, because even though we try to be, that's not right. Even though we try to be intentional with our time with the kids, man, these phones just pull you in, don't they? Like, even if it's something good, it pulls you in. And so being offline was amazing. Really, really glad about that. So just playing games in the dining hall is definitely one of my like mom favorite things, because I look back on it and I remember we just had like 8 nights in a row where it was just us making memories with the kids. And that was really, really cool. So we're going to stop it here. But the next episode, I'm going to talk about what you should bring if you want to go to this lodge. So, I mean, I think some of the stuff is kind of universal no matter what lodge you go to, but I can very specifically talk about Amazon River Lodge. So definitely listen to the next episode so you can know more about that. So with that being said, I hope that this was helpful. We had so much fun. Again, if you have any questions about specifics, head over to Instagram and let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer them. But we had an amazing experience at this lodge, and we had the time of our lives. Really, we did. And we were able to make amazing memories, be with the kids, see very cool things, see very cool animals, and just super, super excited to even share more about it in the next episode, because I'm sure I'll tell stories. I can't just talk. I can't just give like a packing list. That would be so boring. But I'm really, really excited for you guys to maybe check them out, maybe experience them yourselves. And I hope that this episode was helpful for you and encouraging for you, as maybe you're trying to figure out, hey, do we want to go into the Amazon? And as always, I hope you guys continue to travel joyfully.